Welcome to another episode of Edtech Table Talks, where we discuss best practices of technology integration. Today we have Mr. Sims from the Science Department. Can you start off by telling us a little about how you like to incorporate the one-to-one devices in your classroom?
So what I do with my kids is I like to make sure that we have kind of an even balance of things. I don't want them on the computer all the time, and I want them to use the computer as a tool. So I do have a science class, so we do a lot of labs and stuff like that. And I'll use the computers or have them use the computers to really analyze data and write conclusions and stuff like that. I also try to minimize the amount of paper I use in my room. I'm an AP environmental science teacher, so paper bad. So I really try to utilize that a lot. Most of my labs, most of my assignments are already in Word documents, and I can just upload that to Canvas. They just type right in it. Also, I'm not having to carry around a whole bunch of paper with me to grade. I just carry my tablet with me, and I can grade in SpeedGrader. So that's kind of my take on it. Really trying to make sure that I have a balance between, I don't want them being on the computer all the time, but I'm really utilizing it as a tool, like you would use it in a workplace. We utilize our computers as tools to get jobs done, and that's kind of what I want them to do too. I don't want them to sit there and be on it all day long and play around on it, but I do want them to use it as a tool.
Let's focus on your virtual learning walk. Can you explain to us some of the things that we saw?
So for my virtual learning walk, we were doing, it wasn't really a lab, but it was an activity. So there was a lecture portion of it, and that was using Peer Deck. So as they were going through, as I was going over some information prior to that, I was asking them questions they were typing in on their computers, and I was pulling it up in real time so that I could see their answers and kind of evaluate, make sure they were getting the information that they needed to get. So let's kind of narrow this down to our community. So what are some parts of Pearland or Pearland High School that we all share together? Go ahead and answer in Peer Deck for me, and then you can copy and paste it into your lab. We share the same land area. We share toilets, public facilities. That's a good one right there. Water fountains, chairs, space, benches. If you rode the bus, you shared the bus. If you drove today, you had to share the road with people, didn't you? It's like the whole point of learning how to drive, how to share the road with people. We also were doing an activity. So there was a hands-on activity that they were doing on their desks, and they were collecting data from that activity and using Excel to analyze that data. And we were discussing the data as a class as well. So the Excel sheet was actually a class sheet that was shared with them, and as they were typing in, everyone got to see all of the data, and I was pulling it up on the board too. So we're going to go fishing today. In the center of your desk is a pie plate. The pie plate represents the ocean. There are straws on the center of your desk as well. There are cups. There is tape. So let's go ahead and set up our scenario here. You all belong to the same village, but you're fishing individually. You will have 4 fishing seasons. Between each season, I will come and restock your ocean. For every 2 of the same color left in the ocean, I will put 2 more. If you only have 1 color left in the ocean, you do not get any more because it takes 2 parents to make a baby. Okay? You must earn at least $5 each season. You must earn at least $5 each season to stay in business. Once you go out of business, you are out of business. You have had to sell your boats and your stuff back to the bank to cover your loans. At the end of each season, I already told you I will restock, and each season lasts 30 seconds. The person with the most money at the end of class today gets a free 100 on the next quiz. All right, our first fishing season starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Halfway through season 1. We're all gonna die. Grab your laptop real quick. On page 2 of your lab, on page 2 of your activity, it's not really a lab. You have these data tables right here. So what I want you to do is to fill out your data table right here, and then y'all are gonna kind of work together with the ocean as well. So figure out how many are left in the ocean. So everybody right now, fill out your year 1 right here, and then I need you to fill out your year 1 for your ocean as well. While you're doing that, I'm gonna walk around and restock your oceans. All right, last fishing season starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, go. So the last fishing season, go, go, go. When you open it, you're probably seeing first period. Down here at the bottom, we have second period. So click on the second period tab. Click on the second period tab, and I want you to find your group. So group 2, group 3, group 4. Find your group, find your line, and type in your information. The least.
You saw parts where they were on the computer. You saw parts where they were onto paper. You saw parts where they were doing the activity and the computer was off to the side. But they were using that to analyze their data. That was their application for their tool. And they were using that to consolidate all the data for the entire class. So as they were typing in, everybody saw everything. We could have a real quick discussion and not have to ask each group what their data was because everyone already saw it.
What tips do you have for teachers that may be hesitant about classroom management issues that can arise with one-to-one devices?
I use my kids. I use my device on a daily basis, but all the kids use their devices in my class on a daily basis. And the tool that I found this year that really helps with classroom management is Peer Deck. I absolutely love Peer Deck because it keeps the kids engaged throughout the entire lesson cycle that we're doing. They're having to answer questions, they can click on interactives, they're dragging and dropping stuff, so they're constantly engaged in it. And I find that when I'm using Peer Deck, I actually have more engagement than I do if I'm not using the computers at all. So I think it's kind of, we teach digital natives, so I think that's kind of an interesting aspect of it. If we take the computer away completely, I have a whole lot less participation and engagement than if I have the computer and they're doing things on there at specific times like they are with Peer Deck.
So you just talked about kind of how it would look if you didn't have the computers. Is there any circumstance where you would want to go back to maybe 2 or 3 years ago where the district was not providing a device for each student?
Honestly, no. Even my kids who bring their own devices, like I have my MacBook kids, I have a few Chromebook kids, I'm always encouraging them when something's not working, I'm like, hey, go get your district device because you know what, it's going to work. It does everything that we need it to do. I used to teach in a district that was one-to-one before I came to Pearland, so I guess I'm a little bit more used to it. But I would not want to go back. I mean, we are teaching kids that have grown up with computers and phones and tablets, and they're digital natives. I don't think it's in their best benefit to go back to where we are just doing everything pen and paper. Now, there's a balance to that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying pen and paper is bad, because it's not. There's a lot of research that shows handwriting helps to keep stuff in memory way more than typing does. But there needs to be a balance with that. We can't have them do one thing, handwrite, pen and paper only, and then or computer only either. I mean, there's an episode of like the first Star Trek where Spock is a kid.
What is the formula for the volume of a sphere?
4/3 pi times the radius cubed.
Takes shape fully
1.26. Any limbs?
charge of an additional scalar distance. What is the square root of 396,000? 324. What is the
7,548.
dimensionality?
Dimensionality equals
What
the
are the
logarithm
two
of
key
n divided by
features?
non-excludability
Volume
and non-rival.
of a sphere.
4/3 pi times
When
the
is an
radius.
action said
When
to
it
be
is morally praiseworthy but not morally obligatory.
They're sitting there in their little computer pods and they're doing all their work all day. That doesn't work for our kids either. They are social beings and they need to interact with each other too. So it's just finding that fine balance between pen, paper, and social interaction and computers and all of that.